Okay, today we are going to talk about consecutive interior angles. And this is going to be one of the angle relationships that you're going to see in parallel lines that are cut with a transversal. Um, Let me just show you really quick what I mean when I say those words, because that was a whole bunch of math jargon. Okay, so here I have two parallel lines or a pair of parallel lines that's being cut by the transversal. I can identify my parallel lines because I have these little arrow looking tick marks on them. So that tells me that line K and line L are parallel. And then the transversal is the name of this line that cuts through it, which is line T. It's labeled up here. Now, in this video, I'm talking about one relationship of all these angles that are in this diagram here. There are 8 angles here, and there are many relationships that we have defined between these 8 angles, but right now I'm only going to be talking about consecutive interior angles. Now, consecutive interior means that they are right next to each other and they are on the inside of the parallel lines. So I'm going to go ahead and do some highlighting. So angle 4 and angle 6, these are right next to each other. They're consecutive. And they're also interior. They're on the inside of those parallel lines. So those are going to be one of my 2 pairs of consecutive interior angles. Now, the other pair of consecutive interior angles is going to be, I'm going to highlight them green, angle 3 and angle 5. Now, again, consecutive because they're right next to each other, and interior because they're in between those parallel lines. So when I talk about consecutive interior, if I'm talking about angle 6, the consecutive interior angle to it is going to be angle 4, and really only angle 4, as angle 3 is not going to have the same relationship with it. Even though it's interior, it's not considered consecutive because it's on the other side of that transversal. So the one angle that's consecutive interior, angle 6, is going to be angle 4. Now I'm going to switch over to another tool to kind of show you the relationships between these. So this tool is called GeoGebra. GeoGebra is a great tool for showing geometry concepts. Wonderful tool for it. So I'm going to walk you through as I build my parallel lines and then as I build my angles to show you. So I'm going to start just by graphing a line. We're going to call this line, well, it will name it for me. There we go. So there's my first line. They named it line F. You can see the label here. And you also can see it up here. They named it F. And they gave you an equation for it. We're not going to use that equation right now. It also gave you the coordinates of those 2 points I plotted. Now I want a line that's parallel to it. And GeoGebra actually has a parallel tool. Whenever you scroll over these tools up top, it kind of gives you an idea of what's there. If you hit the down arrow, it gives you more. And I want a parallel line. So I'm going to click on my original line, and then I'm just going to pick a spot to put my parallel. So now I have a second line G. Now I need a transversal. And a transversal does not have to intersect at any specific angle or have anything. It just needs to cut through. So I'm just going to quickly draw something up. Okay, they named this line H. And you can see it just cuts through. Now, I'm going to draw a few more points. I'm going to label my intersections. Start off with that. Oh, believe it's here. Here we go. See where it says intersect? And I am going to click right there, and it will just label that intersection for me. And I'm going to do it down here too. Okay. The only reason I'm doing those is because it's going to make it easier for me when I'm drawing out the angles. And I'm just going to do a couple more points. I want a point in between here. I got one down there, and I want a point right here. So now I have a point in each little section of the lines. The only reason why I did those is just to make it easier when I mark out my angles. So again, we only have those 2 pairs of consecutive interior angles. So I'm going to start with this one. And we're going to go. Okay, I used my angle tool, which is this. And I just picked these 3 points in order, and it kind of gave me this angle. I started at the lower point and then moved up. So it's kind of like drawing the angle like that. Anyways, and it labels the angle for me. Now it's angle alpha, and it is 48.77 degrees. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to start here. Okay, and it labeled this one as angle beta. And it tells me that E equals 131.23 degrees. Now you can see right away that these angles are not congruent. They don't have the same measurement. The only time when they will have the same measurement is when the transversal line is perpendicular. And in that case, they would both be 90 degrees. But any other time, they're not going to be congruent. However, there is a defined relationship between them. I'm going to hide these points. We really don't need that. We do need these angles, though. So I'm going to make something else. I'm going to call it sum 1. And I'm going to add together my angles. So there's my alpha. I'm choosing it from my menu here. And there's my, oops, I don't want them multiplied. There we go. So it's alpha plus beta. And I'll hit enter. And up here, it tells me that the sum of these two angles equals 180 degrees. Now, this is pretty cool. If I move this around, you notice that the angles do change, but the sum always stays the same. And I can do the same idea with the other set of consecutive interior angles. Just give me a moment. My brain will blink. So let's do maybe this green color. Okay. So I'll label this angle. And it labels it like this little Y symbol. Okay, and let's do... Okay, so I made it a different color, so it makes sense that the relationship is between those two green angles, whereas this relationship is between two purple angles. So we'll call this one sum 2. And I'm going over here where my alpha tool is and just picking out the names of those angles and put an addition between them. Okay, when I hit enter, oh dear, that's a little bit hard to read. Okay, that's a little bit easier now. You can see that sum 2 also equals 180 degrees. And this is going to stay constant again for as long as I move my transversal. Even when this is perpendicular. Let me get it over to perpendicular. Whoop. There you go. It's still going to equal 180 degrees for those sums. Okay, so that is really the gist of it. That is your consecutive interior angles. They are usually not congruent. They're only congruent when they're when the transversal is perpendicular, like in this case. But they do always, the pair always adds to be 180 degrees. Okay, and like I said, there's 2 pairs of consecutive interior angles that you're going to have whenever you have a parallel line cut with a transversal, and they're labeled here. The one pair is the green one, and the other pair is the purple one. If you have any questions about this, feel free to email me, text me, or message me through the course. If I'm not your teacher, again, you can do the same, contact your teacher for the course and let them know that you need a little bit extra help with this. And I hope this helps. I will talk to you all later.